Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be on your journey for your mortgage financing as your lender. It is really a privilege to get to serve you. I'm Joe Garner, a mortgage officer, and you can always pick up the phone and reach me at 901-482-0354. But I want to make sure that our process goes as smoothly as possible, and we've got some important do's and don'ts for a smoother loan process. And here they are. First of all, here's a nutshell of how this loan process is going to work. Once you do your loan application, then and we lock in the rate, we send you what's called an electronic consent form. You get that right away. Go ahead and sign it right away. You just click on a green button and you can consent to let us use your email address to communicate with you on the loan. The next thing you're going to get, once we call your title company and we get their fees, and they send them to us, then we send you electronically over your email the official loan estimate. And that one requires that you electronically sign in more than one place, and then you'll need to print off some of the documents that are on those disclosures, and we call it wet sign with just an actual ink pen, and fax or scan those back to us. The third thing that can happen along the way is you may have some changes in the circumstance. You may have some changes in your terms. And if that happens, we're going to send you a change of circumstance. It's called a redisclosure, and also you electronically sign that. Now, the fun part is when you're approved and we're ready to go to closing. We are required to send you an electronic closing disclosure. Now, this is all under the Dodd-Frank Act that I'm describing here, so it is these legal guidelines. You need to e-sign the closing disclosure the day you get it, because we are required by law to wait 3 full business days once you have clicked and e-signed this closing disclosure. We have to wait 3 full business days before we can actually close your loan. That's not when you receive it. That's when you click to say, I've received it. So sign these electronic disclosures immediately when you get them. If you have any problems, please feel free to reach out and we'll walk you through it. We don't mind doing that. There's also some other legal guidelines. There's some, as I've described, some mandated delays in the process put on by the government to make sure you have time to review your documents. For that reason, it is very important that you send your documents to us, your supporting documents to us, within less than 48 hours when we request them. We're going to request the general documents. Now, this FYI, some information on those documents may require that we ask you for additional documents. So that's why it's really important that you get those to us within 48 hours so we have time to process them. Let me also go over number 2. It is vitally important that you don't change a lot of things on your asset statements, like your bank accounts or your 401ks or anything like that, during the loan process. We're going to be looking at the bank statements that you send to us, and we need all pages. Even if there's no writing on a page number, we need all pages of your bank statements, your 401ks. Whatever those balances are, we put those into your loan application. So be really careful about moving money in and out of there without letting us know, and preferably don't move money around during the loan process. Any large deposits over $100, we're required to show where the source of those deposits are originating, and that is up to you. So if you have large deposits in your bank statement over $100, if it clearly shows it's coming as payroll from your employer, you don't have to verify that. But if it shows that it's coming from a different account or it's not showing where it came from, really easy thing to do is to have your banker just print off an image deposit, and you can send those to us with a little explanation of where that money came from. Now, if it came from another account, you'll need to send us the 30-day history of the other account. We do need the name of the bank, your name, and at least part of that account number, and at least a 30-day history on your bank statements. Okay, moving on. On your tip sheet, we if you're on the bank account with another person, like your spouse or a parent or a child, we just need a quick letter from them, signed and dated, saying that you have full access to the funds in that account, that you're on there jointly, but you have full access. If you're legally married and you are buying a house or refinancing a primary residence, remember that at closing, in order to get clean title in Tennessee and in a lot of other states also, your spouse is going to need to sign at least 4 documents stating that they understand you're getting a loan on a primary residence, and whether they're going to be on the loan or the title or not, we still need their signature. If they're not available, then they'll need to get a very specific power of attorney that will allow someone else to sign for them. Your income. If you are a W-2 income where you have taxes and FICA and different types of deductions taken out, that's good. More than likely, we can count your income as long as you're not a temporary employee. But if in the course of our loan application you change over to be a subcontractor, a 1099 employee, that can be very problematic because typically we require 2 years history of subcontractor work or self-employment work. So if anything changes, maybe part of your salary goes to commission only or bonus only, if anything changes about your income, please let us know during that process. If you file your tax returns right before you go into loan application, let us know, because it takes the IRS a few weeks to process that, and we are required by the government and by our loan guidelines to get the IRS to send us a report after they've processed all through your tax return. So let us know if you're just now filing a tax return. We generally will ask for 2 years, sometimes 1 year of your tax returns, all pages, including K-1s. Let's see, check your tax return and make sure that there's no unreimbursed employee expenses. Usually that's on the 3rd page. If there is, let us know. Sometimes that matters and sometimes it really doesn't. So let us know. And also, if you have a business, a side business where it's taking a loss, we need to know that as well. Do not open any new credit accounts, especially not the 12-month same as cash. I know I've had customers say, but I don't have to make a payment for a year. This can really damage your credit score, and it causes havoc with your income to debt ratios. And that's because of the way the government or these government loan guidelines calculate payments on 12-month same as cash. Don't add any additional balances or open up any new credit cards or new accounts. Let us know if something comes up and you need to do something like that. Of course, keep your payments paid current, always. For no reason at all do you go over 30 days late on anything during the loan process. Let's talk about your appraisal. They're going to go out, in most cases we're going to do an appraisal on the property. We do not choose the appraiser. We, by law, have to go through a government-approved third-party appraisal ordering company. And they will assign an appraiser who will call and go out to the house. Now, if it's your house, you already know a lot of these things, but if you're buying a house and that property has a leaky roof, maybe some rotted wood, maybe some peeling paint or torn up flooring, broken tile, or sheetrock, maybe broken windows, or maybe the plumbing or electrical doesn't work, or the heating and air doesn't work right, that could be a problem, because the appraiser, if he mentions that on your appraisal, more than likely those types of things are going to be required to be repaired before closing. So let's talk about that. There are ways to get around that, but in most cases you're going to have to work out something with the seller to get those done before closing. Let's see. How about our celebration day? This is a day we celebrate with you. It's the day you close and you get your money and you get your house and those things, the whole reason you did this process. The funds that you use to close must come directly from the account that we verified. Remember, we talked about the bank statements. Whichever account you're using, that's the account that cashier's check has to come from directly, not via your 401k to that account. It has to come directly from that account. Remember, at closing, the funds will need to be in the form of a cashier's check or a wire payable to the closing agent. You're going to need 2 forms of ID when you go to closing, your driver's license and maybe another like voter's registration or social security card or passport or something like that. Even an insurance card might work for the second form. Due to the new TRID government lending guidelines, there are mandatory delays set up in the process, which we mentioned earlier, to give you a chance to review your final numbers. So if anything changes from the time we give you that electronic closing disclosure and the time you close, depending on how much that change is, it could delay your closing. So that's just a little FYI. We want to be careful about that. Very important. Due to the rising number of incidences of hackers redirecting wired closing funds, please do not, for any reason, wire any money to anyone at any time without you calling the phone number that you know to be the mortgage company and the phone number that you already know to be that title company where you're closing to verify those wiring instructions. Hackers have gotten pretty smart, and they actually, some of them know basically when you're closing and who your title company is, and maybe even who your realtor is. We don't know how that, we haven't had any incidences that we know of at our bank, but we know of around the country this has been happening. So we want you to be safe, and that is what I want to warn you about. All right, if you're refinancing your home, please make sure that your home has not been listed for sale on the market within the last 6 months. And remember that on a primary residence, there is an additional 3-day right of rescission before your money is dispersed. I know it sounds like a lot. Call me anytime. I can go back over that with you. I'm delighted to get to work with you. I'm Joe Garner, and I'm your lender for life.